What's up guys, and welcome to another champion spotlight video. Today I want to talk about Angar. Angar is a champion that a lot of people complained about, saying he was one of the worst void legendaries. He got some love in the last patch, so I think it's really important to talk about him. So before I get into what his skills do, let me go over his stats. I gave him 61,000 health because now he is health based champion on all of his attacks, changed from a health and attack hybrid. I gave him 3,700 defense, just under 100% crit, 147% crit damage. Resistance doesn't really matter, 156 and 183 accuracy, just enough to land it in the content I'm going to be showing you today. So usually, as a rule of thumb, the only thing worth mentioning here is I always go crit damage on neck pieces. That's what I prefer, to squeeze out a little bit more damage. I gave him a speed 2-piece, divine health 2-piece, and immortal 2-piece. Didn't upgrade that. Had a good triple roll on health. Probably could have to made this video a bit better, but that's enough of that. For masteries, these are the masteries I used for the old Angar, and I built him straight damage. He didn't do a ton of damage, but he did enough to really cause people some problems in arena. He was hitting for 60k on his A3, which didn't hit like it does now. I give him Helm Smasher, so if you haven't already, go and check out my mastery video. A lot of the mastery builds I have in there will fit Angar a lot better, mostly War Master. And if you really want to build him for like platinum tier arena, probably the defense and support tree, the way you're going to want to go with him there. Unfortunately, I can't really test him in plat arena because I don't have the ideal stats, and he would just get stomped on, and I don't want people to think he's trash just because I didn't gear him properly for a certain part of the game. If I were in gold, it would be much easier for me to show that. While I'm going over his skills, I want to show you something cool about Angar that should really help a lot of mid-game players out who have Angar already. So now that that's started, let's get into it. His A1 Exacerbate, attack one target or one enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the enemy has a provoke debuff on them. The extra hit would be hitting a target 4 times if they have a provoke on them. Keep that in mind when going on to our A2. The A2 was changed from 3 hits on random targets to attacks all enemies. Amazing change for this champion. Now this gives him an AoE provoke that lasts for 1 turn, 30% reflect damage on all allies around you, and places a counter attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. And obviously, as previously mentioned, he's a health based champion on all of his skills now. So this increases his value a ton right off the bat. Now you provoke everyone, they hit you, and now let's get into his passive. Passive, if an enemy with a provoke debuff attacks, has a 40% chance of placing provoke on them for an additional turn. Each hit taken will reduce the damage Angar takes by 5%, stacking up to 30% in 1 round. This is more geared towards arena. Obviously, if you're progressing in dungeons, it could be multiple back and forth in the same wave, but this will not stack from wave to wave in a dungeon. So as we can see, his base stats, 21,900, pretty decent for a health-based champion. Not near the maximum value that some champions have, but it's good enough. What I really like about Angar is 1,288 base defense, which is very, very high for a health-based champion. A lot of champions have 900, 800, 1,000, even 1,100, so I think this is a really good shining point for Angar. 98 base speed, we've seen as low as 89, so I'm glad they gave him a decent speed. Obviously, he has the low crit damage echelon, which is 50%. It could be 63, but 50% is good for a support champion in this role. Now, as you can see here, he just did Minotaur 15 with 1 champion I'm looking to put scrolls on. So I didn't have to, so let's say I'm a mid-tier player and I don't have 5 champions that I want to waste the chance of getting scrolls on, or there's 1 champion that's really important to me that I need scrolls on. I can take Angar, put him in gear that I just showed you before. None of the stats are really outrageous. I could have geared him a lot better if I wanted to. So this is what he can do. 1 minute and 58 seconds. I've seen a lot of mid-tier players taking 2.5, 3 minutes to do this with 5 champions. So this guy can get it done, and he can officially fully mastery 1 champion. So I think that's a huge thing to hone in on and realize about him and his value. So he can do that. Unfortunately, I don't have access to all of the dungeons, but he can do this in Arcane Keep. He will probably struggle with the poison, so I wouldn't recommend testing him out in Void. He doesn't have a clear for Magic. Force Keep, it's very likely he can complete that. And the healing, I have him with Manaya right now, who has a healing decrease, so you might have to work something out there. Another quick tip that I might as well mention since I'm here, if you're going to mastery somebody, don't have them fully leveled when you're doing it unless you really need that champion's support to clear. So like I have her at level 37, so she's actively gaining experience and scrolls at the same time, so I'm getting the most value out of my energy. I think that's really important for people to realize. Outside of that, we have faction wars that Angar will shine in. And if I had to build an arena team around him, we can give it a shot here. I'm really going to have to look for a team that I think I can succeed against, and not looking like I'm going to find one. I can give it a shot against this team and see where we go from there. So let's throw Angar in here. He's not going to land any of his debuffs, but that's fine. We'll try to make do with what he has. We'll just make it really tanky. Let's see what he can do in arena. We already know Rhodos is OP. I would like to thank everyone for all of the support they've given me in the last video. Angar's a bit slow, so he hasn't even gone yet. Alright, here's the A2. 19k, not terrible. And we just saw the double hit there. Here we have Frost King Whirlim, making everyone extremely tanky. Finish it off with Rhodos. Maybe we'll get to see Angar go one more time. Yeah, so nothing too impressive. Obviously he's frozen and he's taking reduced damage while being frozen, but this isn't the ideal comp for him. He's definitely getting carried by the other 3 champions in the quick roster change I just made. But outside of that, he's viable. I'm currently number 19, so he can be used up here. I would gear him very differently, like I said before. Much more accuracy to land that provoke. But outside of that, still think he's strong. Now let's test him in a... We built him tanky. Now let's say... Okay, Murder, that's great. He can solo it. How would he do in other dungeons? So let's just test him with full buffs and what he can actually do while farming. So I've given him... Here's the attack up for the turn meter boost. Guess we'll increase his crit damage. Defense down and weaken. Let's see what his A2 can hit on the first mob of Minotaur 15. So 40k, 35k. This on auto and just watch it go through. He'll definitely add value to a lot of new players. I think he can be really strong in campaign. He has a kit that really complements utility, survivability, and especially people looking for rewards from Nightmare campaign. Him being Void Affinity is very strong in that sense, with the reflect damage doing a lot of passive damage to who you're fighting, as well as having the option to provoke all the targets to take stress off of the other champions. So he can definitely be a great option in many places in the game. And I think overall the tuning that happened to him was a huge benefit to anyone who currently has Angar. And alright guys, the last thing that I want to talk about is books. How good are the books? So the book here increases his A1 damage by 20%. Unless you're building him as a damage champion, which I did not here. You don't need this at all. A2, another 20% damage increase, which I don't think you need. A lot of his damage comes from the reflect damage and the The fact that he hits 4 times on a counterattack. The -1 cooldown is strong. It obviously lets you cycle through your skills quicker, but I don't think it's needed. And the A3 having a 10% higher chance to provoke from 40 to 50 isn't game breaking as well, so I think he is a safe champion to say you don't have to book to get value out of. Now his aura is ally health percent and faction crips by 44%. Like I touched on before, he will be strong in faction wars. I don't think he's a must-have, but if you do have him, you'll have a much easier time going through all the stages. And that's it for my Angar video. Once again, thank you for all the love in the last video. I do have plans of doing a pretty in-depth champion spotlight section, covering a lot more champions. Next on my list will be Minaya, who's the new champion, like the Red Riding Hood champion, and Sifi, the Lost Bride. I did Rotos, now I feel like it's appropriate to do Sifi next. So I'm going to do those champions. Keep a lookout for him. Comment below, what do you think about Angar? Are you going to use him? Are you happy? I know he was regarded as the worst Void tier legendary. Not the case anymore in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Happy with the next choices of my champion spotlight? Let me know. If there's any legendary that I have you want to see, feel free to comment below. And until next time, thanks for watching. Peace out, guys.